Alright, Pistons fans, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about what NBA.com just did to the Detroit Pistons. So, according to NBA.com, the Detroit Pistons are one of the worst, if not the worst teams in the Eastern Conference this year. Y'all heard me right, I'm not making this up. You can look it up for yourselves. According to NBA.com, NBA Central, the Detroit Pistons are one of, if not the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. We were ranked 14 out of 15 teams in the Eastern Conference, and the only team that we were above is the Orlando Magic. So let's get into this, man. I'm going to go team by team, all the teams that have ranked above us besides the teams that are 8 to number 1. Those teams you can easily agree on. You know, teams like the Bucks, the Nets, those types of teams you can easily say that they're going to be above the Detroit Pistons. But the teams 9 to 15, those are the teams that I disagree with. So I'm going to go team by team and tell you guys the reasons why or why not I believe we are above or below them. So the first team is the Washington Wizards. This one is pretty easy, okay? I'm not going to get on here and try to argue too hard. I've done my research on the Wizards, and I can agree that they most likely will be above the Detroit Pistons. They already have Bradley Beal. Adding Trez Harrell and Spencer Dinwiddie to that squad, adding Kyle Kuzma, who may, you know, with the change of scenery, may have improved to a point where he can have a true impact on the Washington Wizards. You know, adding all of those pieces to the Wizards, I can easily agree that they will most likely be above the Pistons. We may win one game against them, we may win 2 games against them, but most likely they're going to have a better record than the Pistons. So on that team specifically, I can agree with that. However, that's the only team that I can say that is most likely going to be above the Pistons. The rest of these teams, you can make an argument for. The Cleveland Cavaliers, how can you definitively say that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be above the Detroit Pistons? The Cavs and us are in very similar positions, both rebuilding teams, adding young player after young player every single draft, trying to improve and rebuild us back to playoff levels. Us and the Cleveland Cavaliers are in similar situations, but I would argue that we are better and more along in our rebuild than the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially adding Cade Cunningham, someone with superstar potential, franchise-changing potential. I feel like we are above them in terms of the rebuild and potential. And then just looking at the roster, I feel like we will have a better record than the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers only won 22 games. Last year, the Pistons only won 20 games. So it's not like we are both, you know, drastically away from each other. And we've added multiple players to this roster that makes this team much better than we were last year. The Cavs have made a few additions as well, but just in general, we have made more moves. We have made more impactful moves. So I believe that the Pistons will be above the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the next team is the Charlotte Hornets. Now, this one, you know, this one is a bit more understandable, but still, you can make the argument in this case because last year, the Charlotte Hornets, 33 wins, much more wins than the Pistons did. But in the games that we played against the Charlotte Hornets last year, we played against them 3 times. And in those 3 games, the Pistons in 2 of those games only lost by 3 points. There was only one game where they, you know, really took the lead and beat us. But in 2 of the 3 games, we only lost by 3 points. So playing up against the Charlotte Hornets, we didn't really struggle last year. And again, we added a Kelly Olynyk. We added a Cade Cunningham to the squad. So I feel like we are definitely going to be competing against the Charlotte Hornets. You could make the argument that they're better than us. I'm not going to try to fight you too hard on that, but I don't think it's going to be an easy battle when we play against each other. And then in terms of records, I also don't believe that they're going to be far ahead of us. I feel like we're going to be very close. Either they're going to be slightly ahead of us or we're going to be slightly ahead of him. The Charlotte Hornets and the Pistons, very close together. You know, if LaMelo Ball didn't get injured last year, the Hornets could have made it to the play-in or the playoffs last year. So I do have respect for the Charlotte Hornets, but I do feel like it's going to be a battle between the 2 teams. The next team that they have above us is the Indiana Pacers. This is the one that I just can't agree with. In my personal opinion, I feel like we are better than the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers over the past few years, they just haven't made many moves just in general. Not just this season, not just last season, but in general, these past 5 years. I mean, excuse the audio for going out. It just went out on me. But back to my point, you know, the Pacers are another team who I don't feel like improved much from last season. And we have massively improved since last season. You know, one of the games we played against the Indiana Pacers last year was on April 24th. The game was 109 to 115. Again, they did beat us, but not by much, man. And in terms of records, yes, they did have a higher record than us last year. it was at 34, but I do believe that the Pistons will be massively improved in terms of our record. If you watch my schedule prediction video, I said that the Pistons can get it up to 35 wins, and the Pacers last year got to 34 wins, and I feel like in the matchups that we will be playing against them, we're going to win more likely than we lose. So the Pacers is just a team who I don't really believe in. They're really a boring team, if I'm being quite honest with you. I just have the personal belief that we will be above the Indiana Pacers. Lastly, the Toronto Raptors, another team who has fallen off in recent years since Kawhi Leonard has left. They haven't been able to get back to that level, the championship level, the high consistent playoff level since Kawhi Leonard has left. They did just have, a decent draft where they added Scotty Barnes. I do have a little bit of respect to the Toronto Raptors. They have Pascal, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby. I do believe that they will beat us in a few games when we play against them, but at the same time, I believe we will beat them as well. And in general, I believe we will have a better record than the Toronto Raptors. I don't really believe in them as a team in terms of, consistently getting to a high level again. They only won 27 games last year. They kept the same players that they had last year. Again, mentioning, Gary Trent Jr., I've been very high on him when he went off in the bubble for the Portland Trail Blazers. Very high on him. We know OG Anunoby is a talented two-way player. We know Pascal. So the Toronto Raptors, similar to the Cavs, similar to the Hornets, similar to the Pacers, another team that we will be competing against, but I just have us slightly above them. Now, to end this video off, I'm not saying that the Pistons are going to be this world beater, one of the best teams in the NBA. I'm not saying that. It is going to be a dogfight to get to that 9th, 10th, or even 8th spot. I know, okay? I'm not saying that we're far above these teams, but I don't believe that we're just below them all. I don't believe that we're the 14th ranked team. That just doesn't make sense to me. We've made so many changes this offseason. Adding Cade Cunningham, adding Kelly Olynyk, re-signing Hamidou Diallo, re-signing Frank Jackson. These guys improving. Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes, Saddiq Bey improving, coming into their second years in the NBA. I just feel like we are much above the 14th spot. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the Indiana Pacers, the Toronto Raptors, I feel like we are above them. Now, in terms of teams like the Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards, then you can have your argument saying that they're going to be above our Detroit Pistons. But in terms of those other teams, I just don't see it. So, Pistons fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Make sure you go subscribe to my backup channel, link in the description below, and I'm out.